Hello, Professor. I'm Joey Pearson, and this is for queer literature. This is my preface for my first written exploration, and for that I did my queer fun book. And so I thought maybe this would be a little bit different. I was going to do a traditional paper, but then I haven't been having a lot of luck with printers lately, so I thought this might be a little fun for me, and maybe hopefully fun for you, a little different, especially if you're grading papers over break. This might spice things up a little bit. Anyway, I've got my cheat sheet here, and I'd just like to talk about how I felt the project went, and what I really liked about it, and what I didn't, and what I learned along the way. First off is goals. Now when I first started out with this piece, I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to go with it, but I did know that I wanted it to be something that was fun and a little different for the reader, something that they would enjoy reading and want to, maybe one of those things it's like they would want to pass on, like this was funny, did you read this? But also something that had a point. I didn't want something that had a lot of fluff. And so I guess one of my first important goals to me was to write something that wasn't overly complicated, but that I felt was solid. Okay. This is where the magic happens. This is my room. Oh, there's a kitty. All right. Anyway, so we're talking about the process, and so this is where this is where I did most of my work and on this project and thought about it. So I will be in here for the reflective portion of this preface. Alright, now we are talking about the writing process. Starting off with invention. How did I start out? Well, I started out with the idea of the fun book because I wanted to, like I said, have something that was a lot of fun. And someone mentioned a child's storybook, and so I thought that that would be really fun to mess around with something similar to that, but not quite the same thing. And so I wanted something physical that people could have. I thought at first about having like an instruction guide or something like that, and then I started playing around with this idea and thought, I was like, oh, then I could do puzzles, and that would be very, very fun. So then I kind of went from there, and from there I thought about the things that we'd been reading and what I would like to, how I would like to approach the writing, and personal experience sounded like a lot of fun, and I haven't really done a memoir quite like this, and so I tried to put the two together, and they ended up both going into the same piece. This was interesting to do because I was kind of working on the two pieces independently, the writing and then the puzzles, and I wasn't quite sure how they were going to mesh together, or really even the format, or really how I was going to do this. And so a lot of the process was just working on one and then working on the other, and just keeping in mind that they were part of the same thing, and eventually they did end up fitting together. I feel like if I had more pieces, then it would be more clear on how they do fit together, because it's one of those things where it is clear to me and it makes perfect sense in my head, but once again, I'm not necessarily sure if that's what the reader picked up. And so in the future, I think I would work on tying the ideas together more closely from the very beginning, before I go too much further into it, just to make sure it flows by the end. I chose the question of why is it important to be queer, or to consider yourself queer when no one else does, and it came from a question someone else asked, and it wasn't the same question. It was, oh, can you be queer without questions? And then that sort of led into my question, and then I just kind of went from there as far as subject matter goes, and A lot of working on this was trial and error. I tried quite a few things that just didn't really fit, and so I would work on them and then throw them out and then start on something else, or end up changing them quite a bit. And so this changed a lot from the first draft. A lot of the elements are still there, but I went through quite a process of, especially with the writing and with the puzzles of, this is a puzzle that I like, but I don't know if it really ties in with this other than just being something that's really fun. And then with the writing, sometimes I feel like it was off, that it didn't really fit in the vein or the style that I was wanting, and so I would scrap that and go back. And this happened a lot even before I handed in my first draft. This is something that's come a long way from where it began. It changed a lot, but it still kept the core idea and concept of what I wanted. So I feel like I was still true to my original idea. As far as the drafting goes, I covered that a little bit. I worked on the pieces simultaneously. I didn't have an outline. I worked on the different pieces simultaneously, and I didn't really have an outline of where I was going because I didn't really set up clear goals for myself. So I just kind of went until I got a clearer idea of what I wanted in my head. And then originally I wanted 5 sections, and then I thought that was too many, and then I didn't want to write just for the sake of writing, so I narrowed it down to 3 sections. I thought that the piece was challenging for me because I don't do a lot of creative writing. I really like, I read quite a bit, and I really like creative things, but I'm not necessarily strong in that area. I've never really done it a lot. It's like painting. I think painting is, would be a great form of expression, but I'm not really necessarily skilled or talented in that area. And so this was a challenge to write in a way that, holy crap, sorry, cats. This was a challenge because I didn't have a lot of direction at the beginning, and I didn't know how to get started. I think that was the biggest thing for me, is I didn't have a clear idea in my head, and then we had a lot of freedom on this, which was great, and I'm really glad we did, but it took me a while to just get my thoughts organized and to just get some momentum going. And I think some of that might have been fear, because I don't write like this a lot, and so I might not have been quite as ready to go. The ideas didn't really flow. I just kind of got stuck. But now that I've started in this kind of process again, I think it'll be a lot easier the next time. Oh, and I think it's totally, I think it's really important to be challenged in that, and in this kind of way to expand on your writing, especially I'm a PR major, and so the writing I do is creative in a different way, and so I think it affects the more types of writing you can do, the better your writing will be in other areas. Now, I found the workshop to be pretty helpful. I got some really good feedback and some comments on some things that I hadn't really thought about before. The Blackboard one, and then the conference, I think that was nice to actually be able to talk to someone face to face about what I was thinking, and to just talk it out always helps. Kind of like I'm doing right now, talking to the camera. Anyway, I really enjoyed the feedback I got from the online portion. I got some really good comments. I found out what people liked, what people didn't like, what worked, and then some gaps that I hadn't really thought about before. Things, since it is my own personal experience that I'm telling about, that the blanks were all filled in for me, and they might not have been for the reader, and so just to get that feedback was very nice. Some of the comments, I feel, some of the least useful comments were ones that I feel people were just critiquing for the sake of critiquing, and not that there was really anything necessarily wrong with the particular passage and the way they were saying it. It's more like they were just doing it because they had to. So, go figure. But I did get a lot out of the workshop. I thought it was helpful. I know it didn't work out for a lot of people, but it did for me.